Hi, my name is Zara. I'm 21 years old, and at the time this happened, I was living alone in a small apartment just outside Manchester. I had moved abroad for my studies, and honestly, my life was painfully normal. Classes during the day, part-time work in the evenings, late-night calls with my parents, and scrolling endlessly before bed. Nothing dramatic, nothing dangerous. At least, that's what I thought. Have you ever lived alone and felt that strange mix of freedom and silence? Like you're finally independent, but also constantly aware that no one would hear you if something went wrong. That feeling started about 2 months after I moved in. It began with something so small I almost feel stupid mentioning it now. Someone started leaving notes on my door. The first one was just a sticky note, plain yellow, no name. It said, "You forgot to lock your door yesterday." I remember laughing when I read it. I genuinely thought it was a neighbor trying to be helpful. I even checked with myself. Did I forget to lock it? I couldn't remember. Still, I threw the note away and went on with my day. But then, 2 nights later, there was another one. "You get home around 9:40. You should be careful at night." That one didn't feel helpful anymore. Have you ever read something and immediately felt your stomach drop, like your body understood the danger before your mind did? Because that's exactly what happened to me. I checked the hallway cameras installed by the building management. The footage showed nothing unusual, no one lingering, no suspicious movement, just people passing by. I tried to convince myself it was coincidence, until the messages started coming online. It began on Instagram. A private account followed me. No profile picture, no posts, just a username made of random letters. Then came the first DM. "Your red jacket suits you." I froze. I hadn't posted any pictures in that jacket. I had worn it once to take out the trash. I blocked the account immediately. The next morning, there was another note on my door. "Blocking me won't help." That was the moment I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just someone watching my apartment. This was someone watching me. Do you know what's scarier than being followed? Realizing the person following you is patient. Over the next week, the messages became more detailed. "You always sit by the window when you study. You talk to your mother every night around 11. You should stop leaving your curtains open." I started changing my routine, leaving at different times, taking different routes, keeping the lights off. But nothing changed. He still knew. One night, I made a mistake. I replied. I don't know why I did it. Maybe fear, maybe anger, maybe I just wanted to feel some control. I typed, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "Someone who lives closer than you think." That night, I didn't sleep. I checked every lock, every window. I even sat on my bed holding my phone, ready to dial emergency services. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps outside my door. Slow, careful. They stopped right in front of it. I remember holding my breath, thinking, if he knocks, what do I do? Would you open the door, or would you freeze like I did? After a long minute, the footsteps walked away. The next morning, there was no note. Instead, there was an envelope slid halfway under my door. Inside was a printed schedule. My schedule. Class timings, work hours, grocery days, even the nights I stayed home. At the bottom, one line was circled. Tonight. I didn't think twice after that. I called the police. They took it seriously, thank God. They stayed nearby that night, plainclothes officers parked across the street. Nothing happened. No footsteps, no messages, no notes. For a moment, I thought it was over. 2 days later, the police called me. They had arrested someone. A man in his early 30s, quiet, no prior record. He lived in the apartment directly across from mine. When they searched his place, they found printed photos of me, taken through my window, notes, screenshots, and something that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. A spare key.
My spare key. He had copied it weeks earlier when I dropped it once in the hallway. The officer told me something that still haunts me. The man admitted he wasn't planning to hurt me. He said he just wanted me to get used to him being there, because, in his words, she already belongs to my routine. I moved out the next day. New city, new apartment, new locks. But even now, when I hear footsteps in a hallway, I still wonder, have you ever checked your door and felt relief that it was locked without remembering when you locked it? Because I do, every single night.
Hi, my name is Evan. I'm 23 years old, and last year I moved abroad for my master's degree. I lived in a small European city, quiet, safe, and painfully boring in the best way. I rented a small studio apartment on the third floor of an old building. My landlord, Mrs. Keller, lived on the ground floor. She was in her late 50s, always smiling, always asking if I was eating properly. She gave me her number, just in case. That building had maybe 10 residents, a young couple on the second floor, an older man who always smelled like cigarettes, and a girl named Lena who lived 2 doors down from me. We'd occasionally run into each other in the hallway and complain about classes or rent. Nothing about the place felt dangerous. The first strange thing happened on a Sunday night. I was studying late for an exam, headphones on, coffee cold. Around 2:30 a.m., I stepped onto my balcony for air. The street below was empty, except for a man standing across the road under a streetlight. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't on his phone. He was just standing there. I stayed outside barely a minute. As I slid the balcony door shut, I glanced down again. He was looking up, right at me. The next morning, I found a note under my door. "You were up late last night." I laughed when I showed it to Lena later that day. She joked that maybe I had a secret admirer, but the way she looked at the note, her smile fading, told me she didn't believe her own joke. That week, the notes kept coming. Every time I stayed up late, there was something waiting. A note, a message. Once, a small scratch on my door, like someone had tested the lock. I told Mrs. Keller. She frowned and said she'd lived there for 20 years and never heard of anything like that. She promised to check the cameras near the entrance. That night, my phone buzzed. "You talked to her today." I didn't respond. My hands were shaking. A few days later, I stayed at a friend's place, Marcus, from my class. I didn't return home at all. The next morning, there was a message waiting. "You weren't home last night." I showed Marcus. He told me to go to the police immediately. The officer who took my statement, Officer Braun, listened carefully but kept asking the same question. "Are you sure you're not just stressed?" That question made me feel stupid, small, like I was wasting his time. The night everything snapped, I was walking home with Lena. She stopped suddenly and whispered, "Don't look, just keep walking." Across the street, same place, same light, the man was standing again. This time, Lena saw him too. When I glanced back, he smiled. Lena stayed over that night. Neither of us slept. At 4:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. A photo. My apartment door. From the outside. Under it, "You're not alone tonight." We called the police. Officers searched the building and the street. Mrs. Keller stood in the hallway in her robe, confused and worried. They found nothing. I moved out the next day. A month later, Officer Braun called me back. They had arrested a man stalking international students. When he showed me the photo, my stomach dropped. It was him. They found a notebook in his bag. Names, apartments, schedules. Next to mine, lives alone, balcony, studies late, friendly neighbors. That's when I realized something that still makes my skin crawl. He hadn't just been watching me, he'd been watching everyone around me. So tell me, have you ever wondered how many people know your routine without you knowing theirs?
That's the end of tonight's stories. If any of them stayed with you, you know which one. Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. I'll see you soon.